Hello everyone and welcome to your next lesson in web design and development. We're going back now away from the practical work back to the design section, so this is your second lesson to do with design. Got a starter for you. What colour is used on the BBC website for the headings on their sports pages? If you could please send that to me as a comment on Satchel1. What colour is used on the BBC website for the headings for their sports pages? Now we're going to look at user interface, which is basically what the web page looks like, how the user can interface with the actual website. We're looking at the visual layout. A website layout could have a heading along the top, then maybe a navigation bar down the left or across the top, and then the information would be placed in the big space underneath. And there should be a good balance between text and graphics. Your layouts, your fonts, your colours should be appealing and consistent for every page. You want to make it look nice, or else people won't stay on your website. So therefore you've got to try and avoid flashy things like sound. Don't want these tinkly tunes going on permanently in the background. Don't have scrolling banners or animated text or little graphics, little GIFs flashing away in the corner. Your site's got to be suitable for your purpose and your audience, and don't irritate your audience. Then the next thing we want to look at about the user interface is readability, and that refers to how easily text can be read and understood. Now don't mix this up with legibility, which is actually being able to distinguish one letter from another. We're talking about being able to understand. So you could improve your readability by including short sentences. You could improve your readability by using simple vocabulary, by using non-technical vocabulary, and avoid UOA. Do you know what UOA is? The use of acronyms. So to illustrate the point, if you do not know what an acronym means, you're trying to read about it on the website, it's going to be confusing, you're going to leave the website. There's two pictures of web pages on the right here. We've got an example here, which is clearly designed for children. You can see even the font is friendlier, it's colourful, it's cartoony, simple language. And then this one here, instead of talking about our planets, it's talking about the solar system, and that's obviously for an older audience. Okay, so you make sure that you make it readable for your user. Think of your end users. And now we're moving on to the meat of this particular PowerPoint and this lesson, and that's all about navigational links. Now these are how you move from one page to another while you're on the World Wide Web, and there are a number of ways to get from one page to another, and these include typing the URL into the web address bar, browser buttons, search bars, navigation bars, hyperlinks, hotspots, and breadcrumbs. And we're going to look at each of these in turn. So just this is a recap, you've already seen this. Typing the URL into the web address bar. What does URL stand for? I hope you instantly said Uniform Resource Locator. And it's the full web address given to a web page. And this was the example we looked at in the previous lesson. The protocol, the domain name, the folders, and the actual web page name itself. Okay, so that's what we used to have to do. You used to have to type the whole web address in to actually get a web page to open up. But we've got other things we can do now. Now another way you could go to another page is use the browser buttons. And these are built into the browser. And a browser is the application that you use to retrieve and display pages of the World Wide Web. I prefer to use Google Chrome, but I could use Firefox, you might use Safari, somebody might even use Internet Explorer. So the browser buttons, they will be different places depending which application, which browser package you're using. So here's one example, and we've got here, there's a favorites button, we've got a back button, forward button, a reload button, I think it's called refresh in one of the other browser packages. There's a home button, and there is a bookmarks button. Okay, so those are browser buttons. And by clicking on those, you will go to another web page. Okay, so that's navigation. We then got search bars, and they could be built into the browser again, or into the website itself. And they look at the keywords that you type in and allow you to search either your site or multiple sites to try and find the information you're looking for. This is an example of an internal search bar. So it actually says there, search apple.com. So whatever key term or keywords you put in there is going to try and come back with some results specific to that particular website. And then up here, we've got what we would call an external search bar. And nowadays, this is the web address bar. And nowadays, you can actually just type in a couple of terms. You could type in Edinburgh Castle. When you press the enter key, it will then return to you a list of hyperlinks to web pages all about Edinburgh Castle. So that's actually now an external search bar. Then we've got navigation bars. Now these are built into your web pages and they're usually positioned along the top or maybe down the left of a web page. And they're consistently placed on every single page in the same position. And the navigation bar should always be obvious to the user and allow them to easily navigate to the section of the website they require. Here is a screenshot which is going to be extremely out of date shortly, but it's very, very good. We've got women, beauty, home, furniture, and then inside women we've got clothing, shoes and boots, accessories. Inside clothing we've got new arrivals, dresses, swimwear, etc. It shows you all of the different pages that you could visit on this particular website. Then we've got hyperlinks. Now you know what a hyperlink is, a piece of text on a web page which has been made into a link to another page, or it could actually be made into a link to another part of the same page. If you've got a big long web page with lots of scrolling, sometimes you could have a kind of sort of contents almost at the top of the page, and you could click on that and it would make jump to another part of the same page. So that would be still a hyperlink. Any piece of text can be turned into a hyperlink by placing the ahref tag in the coding behind it, the anchor hyperlink reference. And the way to recognize a hyperlink is it will usually be a different color, normally blue, and underlined. For example, click here. I've already clicked on this, so it's already gone purple. And there are two main types of hyperlink. Now, you know this, there's an internal hyperlink and an external hyperlink. Can you remember which one of those uses relative addressing and which one of those uses absolute addressing? I hope you immediately thought of the right answer. Internal hyperlinks use relative addressing and they refer to a web page within your website and saved on the same server, for example, just home.html. An external hyperlink uses absolute addressing and it will refer to a web page out with your website and saved on a different server or domain. And you need to put in absolutely the full web address, HTTP, etc. You've got to put the protocol, the domain, etc. The whole web page address for absolute addressing. We've then got hotspots. Now, these are interactive areas within a web page and they can be used for a variety of tasks. For example, our one, linking to another web page. But you could also click on a hotspot and maybe a blank email would pop up and you could put information in and then send it to the organization. Or you might click on something or even just hover over something at hotspot and then a box of maybe text, additional information will appear for you. They work in a similar way to hyperlinks, but instead of a piece of text being used, often we have a picture. We use graphics instead. And hotspots can be recognized because when your cursor or your pointer changes from an arrow to a wee pointy hand when you hover over it. And often an alt tag will also appear. So here we've got cool maths games and there is a hotspot where the pointer is turned into the pointy finger and a little alt tag called Diggy Game has popped up. Okay, that's a hotspot. And finally, we've got breadcrumbs. Now breadcrumbs are used to remember the route taken. That means the links that you've clicked on to get to the web page that you're currently on. And they're usually situated at the top of the web page and they allow you to see and easily access pages that you previously visited. Now here's an example, very old example actually, but we got down here that we were on the home page, went to the new national qualifications page, and then from there we've clicked onto this page, the new qualifications outline page, and it means that you can go back to previous web pages that you have already visited. Okay, so that means that we're now ready to move on to your task for this lesson. There's only one task apart from the starter, and this is task sheet 6, which is all about navigational links. So we'll just have a quick look at that. It's a publisher document, and it's basically, there's 3 pages to it. On the first page you put your name and class in, and it says on each of the 2 following pages there is a screenshot of a web page from 2 different browsers. Complete the blank boxes around each web page to identify which type of navigational link is being indicated. And choose your answers from the boxes below. So there are 12 options here that I want you to use. So here's the first page, for example. I want you to put the name of the browser. So you've got to spot which browser this is, and then identify and type into these boxes one of the terms from here to identify the navigation that's used. Now, this is in Publisher, a Publisher document, which most of you, I hope, have got access to at home. But just in case you can't open this document, I have made a PDF of it. So it's the same document, the 3 pages. Perhaps you could print it off and then handwrite it and send us a picture or whatever of each of the pages. But if you've got Adobe Acrobat Reader, if you open a PDF file in Adobe Acrobat Reader, I seem to have an incredibly sophisticated version here, but if you can find the fill and sign, if you click on fill and sign and you go over to where you want to click, you can actually enter information in, okay? And you can do that in all of the text boxes. Okay, I'll just delete that so I don't accidentally send that to you. Okay, so one task sheet, number 6, and you are completing these boxes for me. Oh, nope. Some more information. Okay, so consistency, very important and a very, very popular question in the question paper. Consistency across multiple pages. A website is consistent if each page looks similar, and features which help a system be consistent include the position of the navigation bar being in the same place on each page, using the same text, font, colours and styles across the similar elements, graphics are the same size, the position of the text and graphics is similar on all the pages, the colour scheme is consistent throughout. So here's an example of several pages from the BBC website. It's the news part, which is red, goes back to the starter, and you can see that the navigation bar, the main navigation bar, is in the same place in all of the pages. There's a sub-navigation bar for the news section. There's a heading, then there's a part of text, then there's an image, and that is the same. Okay, it's consistent across them all. It's a different font used for news than it is for the title part here, a new cabinet to meet for the first time. Okay, it's a different colour. That one is white, this one is black. Okay, but it's consistent over all 4 of these pages. We've then got relative vertical positioning. Now, that refers to the way that your content is laid out in the individual pages on your website. And it's the HTML that dictates the order of that, so where your text and your graphics and your videos appear. But it's CSS that will truly determine, in quite a sophisticated manner, where they will go. So it will use divisions, sections, margins and paddings, etc. But you don't need to worry about that because that's all in higher. All you have to be concerned about is that each of your elements displays one after the other down your web page. And here is an example that we give earlier years to do, and it's just every single part of the web page is just underneath each other. Okay, simple as that. That's what we do at National 5. This is what we would look at higher. So you've got an area here which is split into 3 different areas, and this part is split into 2, etc. Now that's very sophisticated, and we're going to look at it next year at higher. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. Everything for you just stacked underneath each other. So finally, your tasks. Please send me the answer to the starter in your comment. That's just going to be 1 word, 1 colour. Okay, that's all you need to do. And do the task sheet for me, hopefully with Publisher. If not, I've put the PDF version in for you. Okay, that's all the work that I have for you for the rest of the week. So good luck, guys, and see you soon. Bye-bye.